Day 77. Why did I say that so angry? Like I was like, day 77. But it's a happy day 77. I don't know. Anyway, so day 77. There are these moments in NICU where like you're riding these ups and these downs, and there are these weeks that I call just victory weeks. It's just like boom, 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 boom. All these great things are happening. And if you have a micro preemie, which means you're taking this journey at NICU for like 3 or 4 months, it's actually really scary because you know that these are full of highs and lows, and you're constantly bracing yourself for the lows, excuse me. And that's a perfect place for the enemy to come in there and steal your joy in those moments of victory. So I really had to, at every turn this week, go, no, enemy, you're not going to whisper that to me. No, I'm not going to think about what could go wrong next. No, I'm not going to sit here and worry at night. No, I'm not going to be worried every time they say something good and go, okay, well, let's wait for the bottom drop off. Every time it happened, I literally had to go, Jesus, let me focus on joy. Help me focus on joy. And I rebuke any of those thoughts. And I just, bye devil, bye. I kind of get sassy in my brain in those moments. And so there's been a lot of milestones. So we'll start with Zach. Zach is 4 pounds. And this is all in the past 7 days, y'all. So brace yourself. Zach's 4 pounds. He moved to an open crib, and not really an open crib. It's an open isolette. He was still on the CPAP machine. And so because he was on the CPAP machine, they were like, we're going to keep him in the open incubator. He can regulate his temperature. He was actually getting too hot in the incubator. They were like, the nurse was like, his feet smell. It's time to, let's pop this baby open. So that was really cute. And he was wearing preemie clothes, like his first time wearing like baby clothes. It was just super huge. Then he moved to high flow. And so now we can see his face because CPAP, I'm going to use this Starbucks machine. It's like, how am I supposed to see you, baby? What's this? This is, it helps. It's a CPAP, and sometimes they have this, but either way, what am I supposed to do with that? I mean, it's a good thing. Don't get me wrong. CPAP, amazing. My baby can breathe. But the selfish part of me inside is like, I really want to see what my baby looks like. And so for us, when they move to a high flow, which is just like a little thing that sits like this under their nose, this is really handy that I had this here that worked. It's the first time you can see your baby's face. Because when they have on CPAP, not only do they have this, but they also have a cap on top of their head. Like, what? Y'all, can you see my face? I'm going to come up. I'm going to work real hard. I'm going to come up with a new CPAP where you can see babies' faces, and then I'm going to just change the world. But yeah, it was a big deal to see his face. Like a super huge deal to see his face. Ari is doing amazing. He was, I think y'all already know he was on high flow, so you could see his face. He, his ostomy bag, because he had NEC, which is an infection in the intestines. He had 13 inches of his intestines removed. He also had a little bit of issues. He has osteo, which is an infection in his bones, and he had a bone scan just to see if they were tracking in the right direction. They were showing healing, so they were going to take him off the IV and just give him oral medicine for 3 months. They tried the oral medicine. It made his tummy hurt, but not made his tummy hurt, but he had a reaction, and it wasn't awesome. He lost a lot of, he was losing a lot of fluid, losing weight, and so they stopped that. He's tracking back in the right direction, but his big milestones was that he started bottle feeding and did amazing. He breastfed for the first time, which is a huge deal. Do you understand? Like 74, 75 days is the first time I was actually able to even attempt to breastfeed my child. Like, sit with that for a second. Like, there are all these moments that you have within the first couple of minutes of birth that we've had to wait over 2 months to experience just to see our child's face. And that's a really hard thing to go through. But the nurse gave him to me and said, do you know how to breastfeed? And I was like, yep, I had one before, like, I'll call you if I need help. And I just kind of looked at him, and he didn't look like he was, rooting or showing signs he wanted to feed. So we just kind of cuddled. And then he started rooting, and I was like, all right, blip, blip. And he was breastfeeding. And I know not everybody has that experience, even after the second kid. So it was such a sweet gift that Daddy, I call Jesus Daddy, Daddy gave me in that moment. It was so, so sweet. And then a couple of days later, we find out my husband just stumbled onto the moment where they were like, yeah, we're going to take him off 5-flow. So he's not on anything. Like, that's his face. His full face with no cords. That's amazing. So, such a blessing to see him in that space. And he's gaining weight again. And so we're hoping he'll hit the 4-pound mark sometime in the next 2 weeks. No rush. He does it in his own time. And then now he's in his own little private room. He got that yesterday. Super, super, super awesome. And I'm so glad I can start this first video out with just the joys, because I want people to go back and like watch those other videos where I'm talking about day 15 and day 20 or whatever those days are, where they were really hard. Because they are so hard. But in that moment, God has met us where we're at every single time. And he's asked us to do some hard things, like keep the babies at 2 separate hospitals and not transfer Zach over to where Ari is. It's a logistical pain in the butt. But we pressed into God and prayed, and we actually said, yeah, move him. And then about a week and a half later, changed our minds, and the Holy Spirit was just prompting us to say no. And it was probably because he was preparing our hearts, because insurance wasn't trying to move him, because it's not medically necessary to move him. When we finally said no, let's just keep him where he's at, we had such peace. Even though we weren't happy with the decision, we had much more peace about it than we had moving him. And so, yeah, it causes a little bit of an issue there. These hospitals aren't 5 minutes away. They're like 25, 30 minutes away, almost 40 sometimes when you're hitting it with rush hour traffic. Our schedules have to change. Now that Ari can breastfeed, working out the schedule so that I can be there for feeds for both Zach and Ari. I mean, I'm okay with them being bottle fed at times, but really wanting to be there in those moments. Now, we just have to work out the logistics of it. We still have a 1-year-old at home who needs attention and love and nurturing, and I want to make sure that I provide a healthy balance, all while making time for myself and working full time. So a lot of people at work go, you're going through all that and you still have a smile on your face. Yeah, because I'm alive and my babies are too, and God is providing. He is showing up every single time, and there's so much more that's going on that I can't even say in this video because it's not the time or the space for that. But in spite of all these things that are going on, God is still there. And he is sustaining myself and my family with a whole heap of supernatural strength.